What's up, everyone? Hope everyone's doing good. So, this is going to be my nth video on DaBaby. So, in this video, I'm going to try and be, hold on. In this video, I'm going to make an effort to be as charitable as possible because I know that when it comes to me, and I know a lot of people, regardless of the views, like in terms of many people having the same argument that I do, I think that, it's having the same framework that I do. When I have a framework that is very similar to other people, but they're not as charitable as me, I think it can be misconstrued in many ways. And this happens with content or just views in general. This is why you got to be clear, or not even in terms of being clear. It's just so easy for things to be spun even though you don't mean it that way. I'm going to try to exhaust the principle of charity for this. So, I've made my comments on things DaBaby said in the past. I defended him, then I was against him. Like, I'm sticking with these things, but I want to do like a summary. So, update, DaBaby has deleted his video, or deleted his apology. So, originally, DaBaby made homophobic comments. There was a backlash. He lost show money. He lost sponsorships. He was taken off songs. And he was, he was defending himself. There are people on both sides, people who are homophobic, people who are not homophobic, people who were maliciously homophobic, people who didn't mean to be homophobic, and there are people who were just against it, against what he was saying. So with cancel culture, there's so much wrong with it because most people aren't going to have enough precision to be like, okay, like the person tried, let's take a step back. It's usually like a harsh response, like polar opposite, like cancel him, he never has a show again, I'm not listening to your music. Like, come on, bro, like that's not really necessary. Like, depends, right? And to each person, they have their own view or they have their own topic where there's like zero tolerance for it. Like, I don't even want to support you. DaBaby received a lot of backlash. And I want to go into some of the things that he pointed out. So imagine this. This is why I mentioned earlier that I mentioned in one of my earlier videos that it was possible that it was Holland's razor with DaBaby. That he may have seen that obviously it offended some people and that he may have been misinformed. But, sometimes when you're being genuine and you're genuinely misinformed and it comes out as bad, it's very important for the people to correct you and to take you in. Many times, it's not the information, it's how you get the information. I know it's stupid, but this is the reality. The smartest person in the world can become so offended just based off of the tone of someone correcting them that they abandon everything that comes out of that person's mouth because of the tone. So, when it came to DaBaby and some of the harsh responses and some of the tone that seemed to come from many people who seemed to be on the same side, I can see how from his perspective, he was like, yo, fuck it. Like, I'm not a hoe. Like, you're not finna hoe me out. Like, because people came off a certain way, he's like, yo, fuck it. I don't even give a shit. You kind of saw this coming from him because in one of his posts, he was like, the LGBT, y'all do whatever y'all want to do. Because the reality is, for what it's worth, he has tried to bring some attention. The entire conversation about rappers and the culture they reinforce, that can be a separate conversation, a totally different one. But to an extent, he's made an effort to try and, bring attention to something. I mean, at this point, it was like getting people to vote, at the same time, like his brother died and, it was his brother's birthday recently, rest in peace to his brother. I don't know him. I don't know DaBaby. I'm from Charlotte, but I do not know him. I just know of him. I do not know DaBaby, but, there's a bunch of stuff that he was going through, based off of the harsh response that came from the public, and many people seeming to try and like slam him. Even the delivery was extremely important to him being receptive to it. So I want to say it's possible that there's a degree of accountability on the people who tried to correct him. Even me, even my tone to an extent, that may have contributed. Well, I'm not even going to say he watched my videos, but to an extent, like, there are a lot of people who agree with me. Like, damn, you put it so well, but I wouldn't come out the same way that they did, right? The delivery is really important. before someone came out like Miley Cyrus, I had stated this to my friends and my colleagues. Miley Cyrus or someone like that is a good person from a PR perspective to like come back out. Like this is someone who's a part of the hip hop culture, regardless of inconsistent black people trying to cancel her because like she jumped back and forth with J's on my feet. I'm black people are victims of their own identity. So again, like things I've said in the past, black people, they want to support black lives, but they hate gay black people. Like I'm not going to go into that. There was an opportunity for some celebrities to come out and have different delivery. Madonna's delivery was harsh considering how it looked like DaBaby is. He's a little bit sensitive. Like really, one thing that people need to be aware of is it takes time for certain people to change their views. Not everyone just changes their view overnight. And depending on the type of person you are, yeah, you're not going to take it like that. And DaBaby, he's sensitive, period. I'm not sugarcoating that. He was sensitive. He was in his feelings, and every apology, it was kind of him. He never gave full apologies because every single one of his apologies, he made it seem like he was the most important thing or he was important. Nah, bro. So he was sensitive. So to a degree, it was important for there to be certain delivery to get him to take in views. And considering the person that he is, the type of person that he is, he don't really gotta even show support. He don't really. There are a lot of people, they done said worse shit. They done apologized. They have been a whole bunch of stuff. And I think that probably plays into why he canceled his video, like he deleted the post. But there have been people like that in the past. People done did worse. He is not a person who's a part of these groups. He doesn't have to fight on their behalf, and no one has to if you're not on it, but you'd want them to do it. But no one is really obligated to do so. He's not obligated to do that as a celebrity. He's not. No one is really. I mean, unless you're a politician, maybe you have more of a reason to, but he don't really got a reason to. He didn't come into this to be like a positive role model. I mean, he may say that, maybe some, but that's not, I mean, I'm not gonna hold him under that burden, you know? If your kid ain't raised right, then your kid gonna be a gangbanger who shoots up people because of music. Like, that is outside of the artist. It's not his responsibility. He doesn't have to pay attention to any of these things. So when it came to him, when he had that response of, y'all do what y'all wanna do, people have to understand the level of responsibility. Like, he really doesn't have an obligation to do it. Really, no one does. You know, white people aren't really obligated to come to the defense of black people. Like, these are things that are just true. Like, you'd want them to do it to have some consistency. Like, hey, like, I help you out. Like, you're dealing with it. But at the end of the day, nah, you really don't. One of the responses that DaBaby had, one of the things that he did in this video, I want to summarize a lot because I want to identify some things that are grounds for I want to be charitable to him. One thing that he said, he was like, yo, like, if I asked everybody to put up a black fist, this is something that many people are saying. But again, their framework is usually through the framework of like, they like black rights, but they don't like gay black people. It's like they think that's the destruction of the black race or some dumb shit because many people are homophobic. But to exhaust the principle of charity or to steel man that premise, and just so people can understand, there's a point that he could have made and he still could have gotten reamed for everything else. Like, it's not like he's stupid, but he's not as smart as he think he is. But these are valid points. Like, if you're gonna try to change somebody's mind, you have to be able to be honest about certain things. And one of the things he had said is, look, if I had asked everybody to put up a black fist, not everybody would have done it. The same people coming for me, y'all definitely wouldn't have done this for black people. And to an extent, he's right. Black people are a part of a traditionally oppressed group, just like gay people. Anybody who knows anything about the LGBT community, you know, especially black people, a lot of racism is within the LGBT community where they don't like black people. Like, I mean, it's true. Even in terms of interracial dating, they don't date black people. That's a valid point that he did make, right? You being a part of a traditionally oppressed group, you advocating for some rights, you not getting them, people not having the same energy for certain things because this was such a hard cancellation. Let's throw in another descriptive claim, which is a reality. People have, people have said worse. People have said way worse. There are people who be saying nigger, people who be getting recorded, saying racial epithets, racial slurs. There are people who support Donald Trump. These people were not canceled. There are people who are spreading anti-vax news. These people still doing movies. There are people who work as football players. These are people who are very wealthy, very successful. They're celebrities. These people have done worse and ain't nothing happened to them. There is a problem with the consistency in a sharp response to prejudice and to discrimination for people who are parts of protected classes. There is history of there not being much consistency when it comes to supporting the well-being of black people. Same kind of happens with trans people. This is why you kind of get into some issues when you have gay and black people having discussions about issues with trans people, and they're like, and people like, hey, we don't want to compare struggles. Part of the idea is if you looked at just the United States or just the world, so many people seem to be getting a little bit more rights, but when it's coming to treating black people with decency, so you don't shoot them on the street when they got, when you mistake a gun for a toy pistol, like nobody really has that energy. Black Lives Matter happened all last year. What happened? You didn't really get anything. People can say what they want, but if you look at it, it's 2021 right now. 2021 right now, there really hasn't been much done to stop police brutality. Not really. If it is not federal legislation, there's nothing that's been done enough. That's the reality. And you never want this to be a state thing, because why? They're just gonna kill niggas in another state. Like, you want it to be consistent. There hasn't been. So to exhaust the principle of charity, to the premise that he threw out that people don't really have the same energy for like black people, he's right. He's 1,000,000% right. Does that absolve him, or does that justify some of his views? No, it doesn't. Because he deleted the post. I'm under the impression that after speaking to more people, seeing, him probably agreeing with some of the arguments that I made, not from me, but some other people, the conclusion that was, like, the framework is really important, because, again, my framework is totally different, but many people agree with me, but we don't have the same framework. With a situation like that, where it's like, dude, people got canceled for worse. Why are you even apologizing? Yeah, there are Nazis out here. They didn't quit. They still working. There are people who are multimillionaires in movies. They supported Trump. That man is a white supremacist. Nobody said anything about these people. These people still performing. There is a degree of truth to what he said. And in my opinion, I think in terms of one of the reasons, the things that played into him taking it down is, look, I don't gotta apologize for shit, because y'all not having the same energy for people who've done worse. So does it make it okay? No. Is it unreasonable, considering the lack of nuance that people have around these issues, that would be a way that that's a way that he internalizes it, which leads to him like taking the post down? Yeah, it's understandable. Everything I'm saying in this video can be reconciled with all of my other videos. I want people to be able to understand what I'm saying, dissect what I'm saying. I'm not being contradictory in any of my past videos, okay? This is very consistent. You have to be able to acknowledge good parts of an individual's argument and bad parts of their argument. Is it still true that he's a homophobe? He probably is. Is it a reality that he probably still got problems with gay stuff? Yeah. Because the reality is, if he was smart, he wouldn't have taken the post down at all. The fact that it took so long for him to put that apology out, like I said, he wasn't listening to his PR team before. I'll even say, to an extent, he probably not going to. And not as much. Well, he did do a semi-apology, but then he's not. This is still him trying to get his little get back to an extent, because there's still some social conservatism that's there. Will it take time? Yes. Do I think he genuinely still doesn't have an issue? Nah. That's most black people, especially these rappers. So I want to acknowledge the levels of accountability that everyone has in the canceling of DaBaby, because I think that it was a bit too harsh. And I think that the delivery from most people, even people who he thought were his friends, this was something that he internalized, which led to him just deleting the post. And based off of some things that like Dua Lipa had done, I'm not going to say she's a culture vulture or what he was saying or using him, but she had his number. Like, I mean, Kanye West, I mean, it's Kanye West. Like, Kanye West has already made posts about the homophobia stuff. Like, he goes gonna have to drop him. I don't know which person could be a celebrity who he didn't like and which one, but there was a variety of celebrities who did things related to him where they could have reached out to him. You're a celebrity. You're a rapper. You're an artist. You can get in contact with pretty much anyone. I know enough about hip hop to know that. If you like a Chris Brown or something, you could have probably reached out to him, but at the same time, it's important for you to, have a voice, Don't be someone who's doing it behind the scenes, because he ain't doing it behind the scenes, and I think people should have some accountability or understand the levels of accountability everyone had in that whole thing. That being said, now we're gonna go like hard before I go. So Hassan Campbell's still a piece of garbage. Like, ain't nobody listening to what he's saying. DaBaby, I thought that you made your son get raped, so ain't nobody concerned about your ass. T.I., ain't nobody concerned about you because you doing some all 50 Shades of Grey type women slave stuff with your girlfriend or your wife. So ain't nobody concerned about you, and you're not as smart as you think you are, because at that summit revolt you look like you're not as smart as you thought you were. But so these are all that. Nick Cannon. If you check my other video, so Nick Cannon recently made a post about, how canceling of DaBaby and blah, blah. Do I think people have a short attention span? Yeah, it'll blow over. But Nick Cannon said he was defending DaBaby. Let's think about the last time Nick Cannon I remember when Nick Cannon got canceled. Nick Cannon got canceled for his anti-Semitism. Nick Cannon kind of responded in the way DaBaby did, right? Instead of fully apologizing, he was like, I got Jewish friends. Some of them confirm with me. But you know what? Because I want to stick it to y'all. What did, DaBaby saying screw it, doing whatever, or deleting the post or whatever. Nick Cannon's way of doing that, begrudgingly accepting it and trying to still make it seem like he comes out on top, is when he wanted to get all the rights from Fox or whatever because of it. He was not really doing that before then. He wanted to try and control his brand and still hold some of those views, which I think is very similar to DaBaby. Nick Cannon was talking about how white people are inherently this, how they're inherently evil. It's obvious he ain't never spoken to a race realist who's a Nazi, who talks about race and IQ, because he would have gotten annihilated trying to throw that out. He got canceled for anti-Semitism. He got canceled for some of the racist rhetoric that came out of his mouth, implying that some negative traits from white people are inherent in them. And he said that these were some of the words from Louis Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad, I think. I knew it was Farrakhan, the guy who calls Jewish people termites, he's anti-Semitic, right? The problem is, like, DaBaby's getting defense from all these people who have terrible views themselves. So the reality is, unfortunately, if people aren't honest with themselves, it's easy for people to find solace or find camaraderie in people who agree with them, even though those people aren't as good themselves. Nick Cannon, he is no saint. He's still an anti-Semitic piece of garbage who never clarified his views. I'm not going to ever take a black person and be like, I agree with some stuff Farrakhan says. I need you to be clear, right? Because many of the things that he says are anti-Semitic, they're not Islamophobic, he's from the Nation of Islam, are racist, they are. Doesn't matter, he's from the Nation of Islam. You're still black and a racist piece of shit, and you're anti-Semitic. You need to have some precision with what you're sorry about. And when you give these vague apologies or you engage in some actions that seem counterintuitive, to what you seem to imply, you're gonna look bad out here. So for DaBaby, I know that there's at least one person who has really bad views, who's emboldened, who solidified his opinion on this, which has contributed to him taking the post down. But I still think there are people as well who reached out to him genuinely and did it in a private sense and didn't try to harass him And I think based off of his action of deleting the post, he's more on the side of kind of the quasi apology, Nick Cannon, where I don't really know what your views are and I'm gonna just let it blow over. I think that's the only direction, that's the only conclusion I can come to. Because if that was the case, he wouldn't have deleted the post. It's better to keep that up. He's not fully sorry. And, you know, unfortunately for such a smart guy, you know, he didn't help himself, but, you know, he tried, and it does take time for people to change. I want people to acknowledge that. These are not contradictory beliefs. It takes time for people to change. I'm expecting him to do better, but based off his actions, it's not like he changed. Comment, like, subscribe, you know, tell me if you think anything else. GG.